Hi everyone, today is Monday. It's the 29th of March and it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. It's pretty nice out actually. It is +4 when I left home. And we're starting our walk today at Spadina Road and Davenport Road. So the camera is angling, or should be angling, to the stairs leading up to Casa Loma from the south. I did a video Casa Loma a couple of days ago. So we're going to walk south down Spadina Road. And I would like to show you the beautiful Toronto downtown skyline. I'm just going to angle up a bit here. You can see the CN Tower, maybe not all of the skyline, but certainly the CN Tower in the distance. I'm just going to do a quick little jaywalk here. Don't tell anyone. In Calgary, speaking of jaywalking, in Calgary, I don't know if it still is. I think it might be downtown though, but in the downtown core of Toronto, or Calgary rather, it used to be illegal to jaywalk, and jaywalkers would get ticketed. And it became really enforced when the Calgary C train went into operation. And unfortunately, I don't remember when that was. It was, I think it was late 70s, early 80s maybe. Anyhow, Calgarians for the most part, at least when I was living there, always, waited for the walk sign. So they always walked to the corner and then waited to cross the street there. And what I remember living there is, everybody pretty much abided by those rules. But they really enforced no jaywalking in Calgary when the C train went into operation, because people were crossing the street. And I think there were a few accidents involving the C train, pedestrian accidents. So but anyway, when I moved to Toronto, and because I was quite used to waiting for the street light to change before I crossed the street, in Toronto I remember, and even to this day, but I don't see it quite as much, but people would walk out to the middle of the road and stand on the line, between the opposite lanes of traffic and wait to cross the street. And I remember when I was with a friend who lived here, it was like a non-issue. She did it all the time, and I would often see that. And I remember doing it too, until I got wiser that that's just not a smart thing to do. You're a perfect target for somebody who might not be paying attention at that very moment in time when you're standing on the yellow line. So right now we are on Dupont Street. That's looking to the west. And here we are looking to the east. There's a good restaurant here called, I think it's on this street, called Live. That's what it's called. It's been a few years since I've been here. But anyhow, I think it's all plant-based food, if I remember correctly. It's quite yummy. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed a good weekend, whether you were working or relaxing at home. Yesterday, it was raining pretty good here certainly for the morning and the, I think, very early part of the afternoon. And I was reading in the morning I was reading the New York Sunday Times, and that's a newspaper that takes you like hours to get through. Anyhow, I read in the paper that there was an actress who passed away at 80. Her name was Jessica Walter, and I read her obituary, or I guess it was her obituary. It was a nice write-up in the New York Times. And the reason why I'm just bringing that up is because I first knew of her in the early 70s. There was a movie that she made with Clint Eastwood, and Clint Eastwood also directed that movie, and it was called Play Misty for Me, and it was released in 1971, and it also starred Donna Mills, if you remember Donna Mills from Knots Landing. So it focused around those three characters. Clint Eastwood, he was the lead male, and then there was Jessica Walter, and then who played Evelyn, and there was Donna Mills who played Toby. And it was, one of those sort of stalker movies, where similar to Fatal Attraction, where the stalker has some, psychotic issues. And anyhow, it was a thriller. I guess I think it was considered a thriller. And anyhow, Jessica Walter, who had passed away, I think this weekend or maybe on Friday, she played the unbalanced woman in the movie, and she was after Clint Eastwood, and Clint Eastwood wasn't interested in her, and she just couldn't let go. Anyhow, I watched that movie because I was first introduced to that movie in the early 70s, and my cousin who lived with us was a few years older than me, and I remember her telling me about the movie and tell me about the plot, and I was really intrigued. And at some point I watched that movie. I think it would have been, I don't think I would have gone to the movie in the movie theater, because 1971, I was 12. So, and it's definitely an adult movie. But I can't remember when I saw it. Anyhow, I've watched that movie several times over the years. And, because that kind of theme is, you still see it in movies today, different actors, of course, and slightly different plots, but still follow, that same kind of theme. If you think about Glenn Close and Michael Douglas and Fatal Attraction, which was another excellent movie. I like those types of movies. Bit of a thriller. And anyhow, I watched that movie yesterday morning after reading that she had passed, and I was sad by that because she had an impact on me, because that film had an impact on me, and to this day I still enjoy watching it. So I watched that movie, and there's a Roberta Flack song in that movie that plays, I think, the entire song in the movie, like not during the credits or anything. It's right in, sort of in the middle of the movie. It's the song First Time I Ever Saw Your Face. And I love that song too. Always loved that song. So it was a good movie and good actors. And I like the plot. And for a movie from 1971, it wasn't You know, that wasn't hokey. It's something that was still relevant today. Like there were no kind of unbelievable scenes, or the only thing that was sort of unbelievable was there is some blood in the movie, and the blood is really fake looking. It's almost a pink color, and it's thick, and yeah, it looks really fake. But that was the only thing in the movie that now when I watch it, I think that looks really fake, but everything else was real. No, fake fight scenes or that looked hokey. It was relevant today. Like it's in other words, it stands the test of time. And Jessica Walter was 30 when she made the movie. So was Donna Mills. She was 30. Clint Eastwood was about 10 years older. And I know Jessica Walter has also appeared in some TV shows, which I haven't watched. One is Arrested Development. Yeah, Arrested Development, which I've never seen, but I heard it's supposed to be good, and the reviews were good, apparently. And a couple of others. So she has been acting fairly consistently, certainly. And she was only 80 when she passed, as I said. And Clint Eastwood today, I think, is 90 or 91. Donna Mills is 80 as well. And these actors, still look fabulous. But I guess when you have an actor's financial income, especially at that level, you can really afford to look after yourself. You don't put junk in your body. You can pay the premium price for the best quality foods and so on. But anyway, it's good to know that some of these actors are still around. Actors that I grew up with, that I always liked, and those three actors I really liked, I've always liked. And when I was like a teenage girl and Clint Eastwood was a hot box office actor, I had such a crush on him. Even today, I have a crush on him. And he's like 90. So I'm just going to swing the camera around. And there's the Madison Pub. Madison Pub is on Madison, which is a really nice street, actually. And I remember the Madison Pub. And it was a lot smaller than what you see. It was really super small before any of the expansions occurred. This was 30 years ago when I first moved to Toronto. And my friends and I would go to the Madison Pub every once in a while. And it was always busy. And it was always a hot spot. Maybe because it's on such a nice street and a pretty cool neighborhood. It's, I think, it's considered in the annex, I think. And of course, I've not been in it for probably 30 years, I guess. And it's really expanded. Now we're at Bloor Street. The only time I ever really would come down Spadina was when I used to train this route in particular. I'd run down Spadina and then to Front and then east on Front, and it would be super early in the morning. So when I come down here, I think of those training days. And just up ahead, looking at the skyline, you can see the very top of the CN Tower. It's a nice day to be out. I didn't go out yesterday because of the rain. I'm a bit of a suck that way. I don't like going out when it's raining. And I really don't like going out when I'm cycling and it's raining. And my husband and I would go on cycling vacations, and we'd be out in the middle of nowhere, getting to our next destination, and it would rain. And I always, for some reason, got anxious. I'd get worried and anxious that, with the rain comes thunder and lightning. And some of our route would be on dirt or gravel. And I would worry about getting stuck, or I didn't care about getting wet necessarily or getting dirty, but I was more concerned about getting stuck in the muck. And there was one small stretch where it was a small stretch, thank goodness. There was so much mud we had to get through or try to avoid getting around that mud. We weren't always successful, so that was pretty dirty, that particular stretch. So by the time we got to our destination for that day, we were pretty mucky. And walking into the place that we were staying, walking into the lobby, being all gunky and mucky, and I can only imagine what some of the patrons must have thought. But certainly the staff would know, because they would host cyclists. And but I remember getting some looks from some patrons, particularly on that after that specific cycle where it was mucky, because we were sort of dry by the time we got to our destination, but there was like mud splashes and our face was dirty, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to say now after the fact, but during, anxiety and all of that was settling in. I just wanted to cycle and get through and get to our destination. There was another time, a different vacation, where we were cycling, and the cycling normally was anywhere between 30 to, I guess the longest one we ever did in one day was 95K, but on the average it was between 30 and 50K a day. And because we would go from like town to town, it was it was mostly rural. We weren't in the city, so there was a lot of dirt paths. There was a lot of paved paths, of course, but there were enough dirt paths to make it a little bit nerve-wracking when it was raining out. And there was one time, another vacation that we went on, there was one time when it was raining, but it was raining bad, scary, like really heavy dark clouds, a lot of noise and a lot of wind. And we had to go over a bridge, which, you know, going over a bridge is just not one of my favorite things to do, especially if the railing is low. Then I get really, get the vertigo sets in. Anyway, and all I could say, my husband said, well, should we stop? Do you want to stop? Because he realized I was, you know, having an anxiety attack, and he said, should we stop and, you know, hang out someplace until it passes? And we had, I think, only about 10 or 12K to go at that point. And I thought, you know, let's just get through this. Let's just go, because there's no, you know, we had no idea whether it would pass or not, if it would just get worse or if it would last all night. So, and anyhow, I said, let's just go. So we did, but that whole stretch, that whole last, I don't know, 10 or 12K, I was not a happy camper. I just wanted to pedal and get there, and the wind was blowing and it was raining. Oh boy. Now I look back, I can laugh and talk about it, but at that point I was so scared that, you know, we would get struck by a tree branch, because it was so incredibly windy, and I was so worried that, you know, lines might come down or branches might come down, or, you know, there was a bit of road traffic we had to be on, that someone might strike us. Anyway, none of that happened, thank goodness. On a different vacation, cycling vacation, and I'd flooding back all these memories. So another vacation that we went on, again, we were in a similar situation. It was raining, and it was on a really kind of, it was a dirt path, so of course when the rain hit it, it became mucky, and it was really starting to come down. And, you know, we always carried our lunch with us, and, you know, snacks or whatever, and so it was really starting to come down, and we were out in the middle of nowhere. And my husband said, well, why don't we kind of go, you know, to this area here, it looks a little bit more sheltered, let's try going there and see whether this you know, this heavy period runs itself out, and then we can start again. I said sure. So we did that. And, you know, it was cold, because when you're not moving anymore and it's raining out, it almost doesn't matter what the temperature is outside, because the rain makes you cold. Particularly, you've been sweating, and then everything cools down, and then you get cold, and then the rain is wet and you get colder. And so we were feeling a bit chilled, but, you know, we're gonna wait it out a bit until that heavy part came by, and we were thinking, like, this is just not comfortable. And, you know, my anxiety starts kicking into, and this would have, you know, you couldn't make a movie any better than this particular next piece. As we're out there in the middle of nowhere, wouldn't you know that this dessert truck or a lunch truck comes down this dirt path, and she stopped and, you know, asked us if we wanted to buy something, if we wanted to eat something. And she opened up her little truck and had sandwiches and fruit, but we just went right for she had these beautiful pastries. So we bought some pastry and had a bit of a chat with this lady, who was just a lovely woman. And what she would do, the reason why she was there was because there are like little farms, not little, but they're farms, I guess, that are sprinkled sort of across that area where we were cycling through, and she would go to them and, you know, sell them beer or, you know, pastries, or I think she did small grocery shopping for some of the people that were out there. I think she mentioned something about that. And anyhow, so that's what she was doing, and it just so happened that time of day that she was out making her deliveries. You know, we happened to be there, so we just were so thrilled to be able to soothe our souls, I guess, with some pastries. It was just such a treat, and it just brightened up our day. Like, what a coincidence that was. What a lucky coincidence that was. We were cold and hungry, and I think what we had in our bag wasn't anything really that appetizing. I think just nuts and that kind of food. But to be greeted with a pastry, we were just so over the moon. That was an experience that we still talk about today. It was just so movie worthy. We didn't go, we last year we went on a cycle. We just went to Ottawa and cycled along the Rideau Canal. Beautiful cycling in Ottawa. And here in Toronto, really the only time I will go cycling in Toronto is if I'm going to take my bike and do some grocery shopping. And there's a nice little route that I take. Oh, look at the cutie pie. Oh, and that dog was going for a nice carriage ride. And other than that, I really won't cycle in the city. Paths are getting a little bit better, but you know, that's still not really comfortable. Not really comfortable cycling in the city. We do sometimes go along the Beltline or down in the Don Valley in the ravine down there. We'll do some cycling down there, but that has to occur in the morning. It can't happen really anytime, at least for us, anytime after noon, because it's just so busy. It's just packed with people on the cycling routes. And if you want to, you know, if you want to work out or gain any momentum cycling, you can't do it because there's a lot of people there. At least for me and my husband. So early morning is the best in the city. So I was down on this corner this time last week where I shot 2 videos. One I could actually post. It was from college to young. Just crossing college now. But the one I did before the college to young video, I did Kensington Market. And I ran into the Continuum, and that was a super thrill for me. And then I continued and did a video, and oh man, so yeah, that whole video was lost because I didn't have it on the right setting. So that was a loss and a real disappointment. Now we're getting into Chinatown. And there was a restaurant that I was introduced to years ago. I'm not even sure if it's still here. And it was so yummy. I'm gonna have to keep my eyes open, see if I come across it. But there's a whole fruit and vegetable major market down here in Chinatown. There are several merchants selling their fruits and vegetables. And I've never shopped there because it's pretty out of the way for me to shop, but it probably would have fruits and vegetables that might not be found in the contemporary stores that I tend to shop at. Like Metro and Loblaws, just because they're so close to home. Now, I think it was called, the restaurant that I'm looking for, I think it was called Lee Garden. Now again, I had been there maybe 3 times in my life.
Let me see if I can get you something. Yeah.
It was really good, and I'd be happy to go anytime. To go back anytime, but nobody else is really interested in doing that with me.
That's good for him. Look, he's riding in the truck. He's in the second, third hardest.
Oh, I see that.
I haven't been out on my bike yet because I suck when it comes to cooler weather and cycling. I'll have to wait until probably June before I get on my bike.
Hello.
Couple of waivers. That was nice. I wonder if I've passed it, or I remember the signage. It had Lee on it. I remember that, and it was, I think, green and white. Oh, looks like they're making some major changes here. 13 stories, residences and cars. Didn't mention anything about retail, not that I saw, but I'm sure there would be retail on the main floor. Commercial of some sort. I have a feeling that restaurant is no longer. I know I had seen it though within the last 5 years. So here's one of the markets, or maybe this was the only market. Looks very inviting. Looks so inviting, these open markets. I just want to dive in. Now we're coming up to Dundas. Continuing to walk south down Spadina, just crossing Dundas now. Here comes another fruit and vegetable market. This looks yummy too. When I used to, as I mentioned earlier, I used to run down here, and would be here early in the morning and see all the merchants opening up the shop and starting to put out all their goods. They had like a real system, very efficient. All these bonsai plants. You know, they're so beautiful, but I have always wanted one, but I'm not that good of a green thumb, so I don't want to buy something that I may kill. So I think they're now, I could be wrong, but my understanding is they're a bit high maintenance. And I don't think I'm prepared to investigate how to treat them or how to care for them. I remember again, about 30 years ago. I don't know if it still exists. This shows you how out of touch I am, but the fashion district used to be along Spadina, I think just a bit further south. And I do remember coming here with a friend, and there would be, I guess for lack of a better definition, public, warehousing for clothes, and I don't know if they were like the previous season's fashions that they were selling. I don't remember any of that, but I remember coming down here a few times and going into some of the stores, or I guess they were stores, but I think they were like the main floor of where some of the textiles were, you know, being put together on the higher floors. And I don't remember finding like really great deals, or for that matter anything that I really liked. I do remember there was an outlet, or I don't even know if it was an outlet. I think it's the same kind of thing where they may have sold less than best quality merchandise, like merchandise that might be flawed. And I remember there was, I think McGregor Socks had a place down here somewhere, and I remember going in there and of course buying socks. And I never noticed they would be you know, socks that may not have met the grade for regular retail consumption or purchasing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was their manufacturing site, or maybe their distribution warehouse or something like that. But the fashion district was not really that popular by the time I came here. The friend that I knew that lived here talked about it, but I think it may have lost some of its luster by the time I came here. Maybe it was once upon a time a go-to place for the latest fashions, or not sure, but it was in this neighborhood here. Here's Richmond Street. I used to work on Richmond Street, and every once in a while I would come to Spadina and Adelaide because there was a Winners store here, and that's when Winners was sort of first known to me, and they used to sell some really like neat things. You could find high-end designer at a reasonable cost. Now I know Winners still, I'm pretty sure actually, still brings in some high-end designers, but the prices aren't that reasonable. Well, I guess they are for Winners for sure, but they're still expensive. And it was just up here, and I wonder if it's still here. There's also Lauren's Coats. Lauren's Coats has a good reputation in Toronto for being reasonably priced and having a good selection of coats. souvenirs used to be in this building, but maybe not. Yeah, I think it did used to be in this building once upon a time. When I worked down here, it was 20 years ago, so lots of changes. Lots of changes. So here we are on King Street, looking east on King. Here we are looking west. Mid-afternoon downtown traffic. So here we are at Clarence Square. There's some tents down there. Now right on this corner here that I'm angling towards, currently under construction, across the street. If I'm not mistaken, that used to be a car dealership. That used to sit there. Of course, it was just one story, or two at most, I think, but it certainly wasn't as big as that. Yeah, I think it might have been a Toyota dealership. Yep. Times are changing. here is Front Street. Condo City. Yeah, that did not exist 20 years ago. There were definitely some residences there. I'm not sure if, well, yeah, I think maybe one or two, but now it's like a whole city of condos. I mean, it is certainly a good place to be living, a good place to, I guess, to put condos. It's right by the water, right at easy access to transportation. You can easily walk to a downtown office. You're near the water, and a lot of these condos would have a view of the water because you have to go down to get to the water. And if there's not a building in front of you, for sure you could see it and hear the train tracks. There's the Rogers Center. There's the Rogers Center, and there is CN Tower. There's the Go. I've been on the Go once. I was living in Mississauga for about 3 years, and a friend of mine and I wanted to see a play or something in Toronto. So we took the Go because it was just that much more convenient than having to drive. And anyhow, we were more comfortable taking the Go than driving. And I sort of wanted to, I remember, because I'd never been on the Go. And it was a really comfortable ride. It's like the trains in New York. Well, here's another, I'm sure, condo going up. Slowly but surely. Well, actually, they go up really quickly. Like, really quickly. I think from start to finish, most of them are within a 5-year window, if not less. Well, folks, I think this is as good a place as any to conclude our day's walk. It's been I think just less than an hour. It's gone by very quickly, at least it has for me. I just didn't really think about how long it would take. Actually, I sort of did. I thought maybe an hour, I guess. Yeah, that's about right. So it's pretty right on. So here we are at Fort York Boulevard and Spadina Avenue. And this is Boomer Girl walking, signing off. Have a great day, everyone. And please consider subscribing to my channel. And I look forward to having you walk with me in my next video.